When Mitsubishi first introduced the Outlander nameplate to America back in 2001, this vehicle was essentially one of the brand's first ever crossover SUVs, positioned as more of an entry-level model. However, fast forward nearly 2.5 decades, and the latest Outlander is now repositioned as the brand's flagship and top-selling model, with the current 4th generation debuting back in 2022. Now, since the 4th generation's been around for a couple years, for 2025, it's time for Mitsubishi to give this model its first round of updates. And as you can see, they are pretty minor ones, which include updated exterior styling on the front fascia, which include new wheel designs, and on the inside we get an upgrade in technology, with all models getting a larger 12.3-inch display with wireless phone connectivity. So as you can see, this week Mitsubishi has loaned us the latest Outlander in the fully loaded SEL trim, painted in this new color called Moonstone Gray. And the big question I want to answer, for those of you who are looking for a compact SUV that offers a little bit more space and value versus a lot of its rivals, has Mitsubishi made enough changes to the latest Outlander to keep this model relevant? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the updated styling for the 2025 model, I thought I'd pop the hood and remind you guys what's powering this thing. Now, here in America, Mitsubishi continues to offer a choice of 2 different powertrains. There's a naturally aspirated gas engine only model, and of course a plug-in hybrid. This model that we're showing you here is the standard engine, which is a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. Now, underneath this hood, what you're actually looking at is a Nissan engine. That's because this vehicle shares its platform, of course, with the latest generation Nissan Rogue. However, Nissan no longer offers this engine in the Rogue because they replaced it with a 3-cylinder turbo. But here, Mitsubishi still offers it. It is a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated double overhead cam 4-cylinder that makes the same 181 horsepower and 181 foot-pounds of torque. It all goes out through an Xtronic CVT transmission, although Mitsubishi likes to call it an 8-speed continuously variable transmission, which means it's a CVT with 8 virtual ratios via the paddle shifters, and you can take your pick between either front-wheel drive or the company's super all-wheel control, which is their all-wheel drive system, of course. Fuel economy for this model is rated at 24 in the city, 30 on the highway, around 26 combined. That's on regular fuel. This is a 14.5-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 350-ish miles of range on a full tank. Now, Mitsubishi doesn't quote a 0 to 60 time. The plug-in hybrid that we tested last year, however, did it in 6.5 seconds, but that also has nearly 250 horsepower. I'd estimate this car is closer to 9 seconds. We'll get it out on the road in just a moment and we'll see what it's like. Top speed should be around 110 miles an hour. And this is an SUV. Mitsubishi rates the towing capacity at around 2,000 pounds. And as this car sits, it weighs in at around 3,800 pounds. So it's a good 700 pounds lighter versus the plug-in hybrid version of this car. Now, closing the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the very minor exterior styling changes. Now, I have to say, when this car first came out in 2022, I was a big fan of the design. I love the fact that Mitsubishi has given it its own identity. You wouldn't be able to tell this was a Nissan Rogue just by looking at it because it looks so distinctive. Now, my particular test car is a new color for 2025. This is called Moonstone Gray with the black contrast roof. It certainly is a beautiful metallic color. It's kind of like a cool gray. You can see here in the sunlight, there's actually some blue metallic fleck in the actual paint. You also have this appearance package that my test car has, which has the blacked out Outlander logo with the big Mitsubishi grille at the front end, with this kind of update to the grille design and the texture itself. Lots of chrome for the badging. I would have preferred if the black here was carried over into the black for the chrome and strips and for the Mitsubishi logo. You can see the headlights. You have a divorce style for the LED turn signal and LED daytime running lights. There are reflector LEDs here for the low and high beams. And then down here you can see you also have LED projector fog lights. There is kind of like an hourglass design to the grille. And you can see the SEL trim that I'm showing you here is the top of the line model. Mitsubishi offers a choice between ES, SE, and of course this fully loaded SEL version. The changes to the exterior certainly are very minor, but this was already a relatively attractive vehicle when it first came out, so it wasn't really necessary to make big changes. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see this is a compact SUV, but it's also kind of a tweener SUV because compared to the Rogue on which this is based, the Outlander shares the same 106.5-inch wheelbase, but it is around 2 inches wider at just under 75 inches wide with an overall length of 185.8. So this is nearly 3 inches longer than the Rogue. It's a little bit longer by the same length by most of its competitors, which allows Mitsubishi to throw in a small third row of seats, standard equipment on every version of the Outlander. Now you can see, looking at the wheels, these are the updated 20-inch alloy wheels with a multiple spoke bicolor design. You can also get an 18 on the lower trims. They're riding on a 255 by 45 R20 Toyo Open Country all-season tire. You have all disc brakes, obviously, and Mitsubishi says you also have around 8 inches of ground clearance. It's a fully independent suspension system. No adaptive dampers, however, but it's pretty much been updated in terms of the suspension tuning for 2025, which we'll talk about during the driving scene. You can see here the wheel arch trim is unpainted. Thankfully, the side sills are totally painted. This moonstone gray, I have to say, is a beautiful color, and it pairs beautifully with the black two-tone roof. It's an extra $745. My test car also comes with a panoramic sunroof, which also opens up to vent air, along with these low-profile aluminum accented roof rails, some chrome along the window trim and the belt line. And as you can see, backing away from the vehicle, it has a nice boxy appearance. This car's styling, I think, has aged pretty well. And again, it really shows that Mitsubishi can design and build desirable cars, especially if they have the right partner to kind of help them with the platform. Now, moving around to the rear, you can see my test car with the appearance package adds a slightly more pronounced rear spoiler at the top. You can see this spoiler almost looks like it has like a separate piece on top of the regular spoiler. There is a rear window wiper that sits there in the middle, and the taillights are full LEDs. They also have a new updated look for 2025 with the same light signature. The turn signal and reverse light, as you can see, is LED, which is great. The Mitsubishi logos back here should have been blacked out to match the hood. And then you can see there's an SEL badge to the side. The all-wheel drive badge is actually a sticker in the window where it says Super All-Wheel Control. Front-wheel drive models obviously won't have that. And you can see the rear bumper is pretty minimalistic in its design. No visible exhaust tips or anything like that. You do have nicely integrated parking sensors front and rear. And then there is also a digital camera rearview mirror in addition to the backup camera and full 360 camera that my test car has. Now, looking at the cargo space, this is where the Outlander can either be good or bad depending on how you want the seating configuration to be. As you can see, with the third row seat up, it is essentially an emergency use third row only. In fact, it has some of the largest rear third row head restraints that I've seen in the business. You have to essentially take these out to make them fit underneath or to allow you to fold the seat flat. You can see with the third row seat up, Mitsubishi says you have around 10.9 cubic feet of storage space. That is not a lot. You can see the cargo cover does fit over here, and this is how you want to position it if you want to fold the seat down. Underneath the floor here, there is a pretty good amount of underfloor storage. And again, this is where you're going to put this head restraint, because this head restraint here, you basically have to take it out there. If you want to fold down this seat, as you can see, folds down like that, which is nice and flat actually. With the seat folded, the third row seat folded, you have around 30.6 cubic feet of storage space. 30.6 is not a lot. A lot of competitors offer around 5 to 10 more cubic feet, but it's still certainly usable. If you fold down the third row or the second row as well, which I don't think Mitsubishi allows you to do it from here. In fact, if I pull on that, it'll actually just slide the seat forward to get access there. Mitsubishi says the total cargo capacity is around 64 cubic feet of space, which is certainly good, although that third row and the raised floor does eat into the total space because most competitors offer between 70 to 75 cubic feet of space, including the Rogue. But overall, as you can see, for a compact vehicle on the outside, this is one of the few vehicles left in the segment that does offer that standard emergency use only third row. Now on the outside, Mitsubishi clearly made very small changes to the exterior design, but what about the interior? This is where Mitsubishi, again, didn't really want to go too all out there, where they just basically gave us a new infotainment screen. Before we step inside, however, let's take a look at the key fob. You can see this is the current Mitsubishi Intelligent Access fob. It is basically a variation of the Nissan fob. You can see the buttons look like they are the same. You have a slightly different look to the outside with the Mitsubishi logo, of course. It's a nice size key fob, which I think is really good because it fits nicely in your pocket or your purse. There's usual buttons here for lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic. Surprised there's no remote start on the fob. And I don't think Mitsubishi offers a phone as a key because that's something that Nissan doesn't really offer as much as some of its competitors as well. Now you can see the door handle is a traditional pull style. It's not a digital system. You can see there's a button on the outside. If you touch that, that will lock the doors. It'll also electrically fold in the mirrors, which is nice. If you touch the back of the door handle, sadly it doesn't unlock it. There's no sensor. You have to touch the button again. That'll unfold the mirrors and unlock the doors. Now looking at the interior, you can see I really like the color combination of my test car. It's got that moonstone gray with this brick brown semi-aniline full leather interior. So this interior color is exclusive to the SEL trim. As you can see, the seats are basically a Mitsubishi seat, of course, with unique padding, and the quilting material here looks nice with the diamond stitch. It's got some nice stitching as well. These seats are a 12-way power, or I'm sorry, a 10-way power for the driver, an 8-way power for the passenger. You also get a 2-person memory, and these seats are now heated and ventilated. So the ventilated seat function is new for 2025. You can't even get cooled seats in the Nissan Rogue. So that's a feature where I think Mitsubishi definitely made the right decision. Now looking at the door panels, you can see surprisingly nice materials as well. You have that beautiful brick brown leather where it's super plush on this upper portion. Same thing right here and right here. There are hard touch plastics here, but you won't really touch this, so I'll forgive that. There's some ambient lighting along with some LED or some piano black along with the silver accented door handles. The window controls, they feel really nice actually. They're metal accented. They're one touch for all four with more buttons here for your power mirror controls, the power fold function. Of course, you have this carbon fiber look trim, which I prefer over the silly piano black, which gets scratched up and shows fingerprints. And you can see down here, it is hard touch plastic with some nice storage. And then all Outlanders for 2025 come with a new Yamaha branded audio system. So Yamaha, if you guys know, is a Japanese manufacturer that specializes in sound and engines. So haven't really seen a Yamaha branded speaker system, but this is the Ultra version that has 12 speakers because it's the SEL trim. Other trims will have just an 8-speaker sound system. It sounds good. If you guys are an audiophile, you're gonna appreciate it. I think it's an improvement over, I believe, the old like Rockford Fosgate system that Mitsubishi used to use, so that's nice. The pedals are also aluminum accented, which is a nice touch. And overall, the interior definitely makes a great first impression. Now stepping inside, with around 8 inches of ground clearance, this has a nice, easy step-in height as I shut the door. The door also has a pretty solid sounding thunk, so that adds to the impression of quality. Now, starting up the vehicle, you can see start-stop button is right here on the dash where you'd expect it to be. And you can hear it has a different chime versus Nissan's, and if you guys go for the SE trim with a premium package or the SEL, you'll get a standard fully digital instrument cluster with, again, which reminds you of what you find in some Nissan products, but the software and the colors have also been updated to, again, make it look a little bit different. You can also kind of push on that and change the meter view to go into like a more futuristic view where it gives you more information in the center with a really interesting car in the background as well. It's the Outlander in the background. So that's definitely a nice little touch. I prefer the more traditional twin dial layout, but it's great that Mitsubishi gives you that little customization. You also get a nice heads-up display with the premium package. And in terms of the dash materials, you can see there is a soft touch injection molded plastic, real leather stitching here. It's nice and plush, just like on the door panels, it's right here. And this is also nice and padded with more leather covering here and leather over on the sides of the center console, which is really nice. Now you can see the center display has been updated. It's now a 12.3-inch display with basically Mitsubishi's version of Nissan Connect. It includes their latest software with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. My phone is not connected because I'm using it to film, but you can see the screen itself. It looks certainly better versus the 9-inch display. This is pretty similar to the one that I showed you in the new Nissan Rogue. It's just nice how Nissan makes it standard across all models. You can see there is built-in embedded GPS, which isn't quite as nice as some of the Google-based systems, but it certainly is an improvement, and I think most people are going to be pleased with the size of that screen. It's definitely nice. And it's nice how it's also standard. Now you can see the steering wheel. This is a Mitsubishi steering wheel, so it's not a Nissan steering wheel. It has paddles behind the wheel with the Mitsubishi logo. The wheel itself offers a manual tilt, telescoping. There's a good amount of adjustability and range. Paddles to control the 8-speed, the 8 virtual ratios of the continuously variable transmission. The horn, it sounds pretty nondescript, but it doesn't sound puny like in some competitors. And you can see there's traditional air vents with some piano black here. Nice volume knob with some tuning buttons, of course. That button there pulls up the full 360 camera, which includes moving object detection, which is cross-traffic braking as well. You also have trajectory, and you have parking sensors front and rear, so the quality and resolution is certainly good. Nissan typically does a good job there, so that's where Mitsubishi borrowed the technology. You can also go to a curb view there, which is great. And you can just go to a traditional backup camera view once you cycle through that. And you can see here, looking at the climate control system, it's 3 zones, which is nice because most competitors only offer 2. So there's one for the driver, passenger, and for the rear. You also have 3-level heated seats, and you also have ventilated seats. So if you guys remember my 2022 review, there was an empty button here, which now includes a ventilated seat there, which is great. You also have 1-level heated steering wheel. The ventilated seat is a little bit on the noisy side, but it's nice that it's there. It works pretty well. This control here, the knob feels relatively high quality, although not as good as what you've seen for some Honda products. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, a nice wireless charging pad here, which is standard on the SE trims and up. Power outlet over here, a 12 volt, along with a heated windshield. This controls your continuously variable transmission. There's a trigger here. You push the trigger, go up to go into reverse, kick it back to go into drive, and then just kind of hold it in the middle position to go into neutral, and push the P button to go to park. Nice size cup holders. I don't love the piano black here. It shows scratches and fingerprints. You have an electronic parking brake, and then here's your drive mode selector. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different modes. Normal and eco are your 2 normal or main drive modes. There's also a tarmac, which is like sport mode, a gravel, a snow, and then a mud mode. Most of you probably are just going to be using the first 3, so kind of keep that in mind. This is not a sporty vehicle, but it's nice that they have that option for you. Now you can see armrest is nice and padded with the leather. Again, you can open this up. It's a pretty decent size. There's another USB-C charging port in there, which is definitely a nice feature to have. The seats are pretty comfortable and supportive. I love the semi-aniline leather. It looks like it's been lifted out of a luxury car, which is great. The glove compartment is a little on the small side. It's a bin style. It's stamped, but not lined with felt. My test car also has the digital camera review mirror, which, as you can see, without it, the 3rd row head restraints block the view entirely, so it's good to have that feature. Woven material for the headliner. You do have LED map lighting in here now, which is a nice touch, and you also have a panoramic sunroof. This does open up to vent air just over the 2 front seats, along with having a built-in wind deflector. You can also open it up a little bit larger from there. There's also a power retractable sunshade. So overall, the interior hasn't really changed too much. Build quality is surprisingly solid. I didn't hear any squeaks and rattles in this interior. And because they added ventilated seats and a larger display, along with a heads-up display with a Bang & audio system, I have to say this is definitely one of the nicer interiors that you're going to find in this segment. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the 2nd and the 3rd row for the new Mitsubishi Outlander. You can see the space back here is pretty good. There is a bench back here, no captain's chairs or anything like that, but again, what you're going to find here is the same brick brown premium semi-aniline leather. These seats are also heated 3 ways. They also do slide forward and back and recline, but Mitsubishi says you have around 39.9 inches of legroom in the 2nd row, which is a pretty good amount. You can see the door panels have some nice materials here with the real leather. Hard touch plastic here, but it's nice and padded over here with that carbon fiber look trim. I love the metal speaker covers on the Yamaha sound system, and unlike some rivals, you do have these manual retractable sunshades. That's also on the Rogue, but it's great to see that feature here in the Outlander. The appearance package includes these metal kick plates. As you can see, they're also on the front doors. It's an extra $1,500, part of, again, other features, but I would probably skip that option. But as you can see, getting back here, once you get back here, you can see the space is actually pretty good. I have plenty of legroom and foot space to stretch out. This is my driving position here. I can easily cross my legs and get comfortable. The floor is almost completely flat here. There's a slight little hump. You do have rear seat air vents, which is a nice touch, along with your own 3rd climate control system here. You only have 3 level heated seats, no cooled seats, but it's nice that there's at least heated seats. And you can see, I like how Mitsubishi throws in some extra top tier storage here, along with some storage over here. This is great for a smartphone. And then if you want to fold down the armrest here, you actually have to pull on this strap, which requires 2 hands to do it. There we go. While I grab that, you can see, fold that down. It's mostly just plastic with a cup holder area. You could rest your arm here, but again, the hard touch plastic kind of gets in the way where your elbow is going to land. So overall, you can see the 3rd row or the 2nd row area, along with the headroom space. This definitely takes up some space. There's a little bit of a carve out here, but my hair kind of gets a little bit close unless I lean completely back. But overall, you can see the 2nd row, it does feel a little bit more spacious than the Rogue. In fact, it actually has an extra 1.5 inches of legroom in the 2nd row versus what Nissan claims in the Rogue. So that's kind of interesting since the 2 vehicles have the same wheelbase. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat, or I'm sorry, the 3rd row area. And I'll go ahead and I'll torture myself back here because Mitsubishi, get this guys, says the 3rd row back here has only 18.7 inches of legroom. 18.7. Let me put that into perspective. I'm also testing a Mini Cooper 2-door this week, and the back seat has 30 inches of legroom. So this has almost half the size, and that Mini was already pretty darn small. So as you can see, that's with the 2nd row seat all the way back. There is basically no space for anyone's legs, but I'll go ahead and I'll crawl back here just to amuse you guys and show you what this space is like. Now, as you can see, That's with the seat all the way back. Again, if you are an amputee and you don't have legs, this would be fine. I also notice how high the headrests are because the headrests actually do come up to hit me in the back of the head, which is good. The headroom space is pretty tight. I'm only 5'7" and my hair is already touching the ceiling, so that's not great. With this seat like this, I can sit back here for shorter drives. But as you can see, when it's in this position, there's no second row legroom. So that's why it's kind of useless, this third row, if you actually need to put people here and people here, there's just no space. Now, back here you do have a small little window, which is nice. Cup holder here, hard touch plastic everywhere, but it definitely feels claustrophobic. There's no, not really an additional storage, no USB charging outlets or anything like that. The small window makes you feel claustrophobic. So, you know, it's nice that Mitsubishi offers this feature, but really you're only gonna be putting your worst enemies back here. Or very, very small children or people with no legs. But again, this is one of the few compact SUVs that offers this really small third row. So it's been a few years since I've been behind the wheel of the regular powertrain or the standard powertrain for the latest generation Mitsubishi Outlander. As you guys know, this year this vehicle is getting some updates. However, the powertrain, the engine and transmission are basically completely unchanged. And this is where Mitsubishi and Nissan kind of went their own separate routes because the new Nissan Rogue has the company's 1.5 liter three-cylinder turbo, which this car, however, continues to be powered by the naturally aspirated 2.5 liter four-cylinder gas engine that is built by Nissan. So it still makes 181 horsepower and 181 foot-pounds of torque. Mitsubishi says it's made it to an 8-speed continuously variable transmission, which means it's a CVT with 8 virtual ratios you can control via the paddles. My test car has the company's super all-wheel control and all-wheel drive system, obviously. And fuel economy is rated at 24 in the city, 30 on the highway. The Rogue gets about 5 mpg better in the combined rating with its new 4-cylinder. Now, this vehicle, it's been a while since I 0 to 60 tested it. The Rogue did 7.8 seconds on this exact stretch when I tested one last month. So let's go ahead and see what we can get. I have the vehicle in its tarmac mode, which is their sports setting. We'll go ahead and roll brake torque it. The CVT obviously will mimic fake shifts. And we got 0 to 60 in 8.4 seconds there. 8.4 is actually not too hateful. This vehicle feels and sounds a lot slower than the numbers would suggest. I mean, that time is about 0.6 seconds off, a half a second slower versus the 3-cylinder turbo Nissan Rogue that I last tested last month. So that time, while it isn't fast, it also isn't the slowest. And the CVT in this vehicle is a relatively responsive transmission. The engine also doesn't sound the best. It also feels like it's kind of like it feels like I'm basically putting it hard to work. It almost sounds like it's straining, which is not a great sound to deal with when you're trying to accelerate. We'll try another run here. This time we won't brake torque it. Still will mimic shifts, even if you don't brake torque it. 9.25 seconds there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. It's kind of shocking to me how much different the time is, but again, back there it was on level surface. Over there, just what we just did now is slightly, uphill gradient. So overall, the powertrain in this vehicle still is not a strong suit. I mean, most people in this segment probably will find 8.4 seconds or 9 seconds to be agreeable. For me personally, I think it's a little sluggish, especially when you're comparing it to the hybrid options like the Honda CR-V, the Toyota RAV4, which will easily do 0 to 60 in the 7-second range, maybe even high 6-second range. The Outlander plug-in hybrid, however, is almost 2 seconds faster than this vehicle. We got 6.5 seconds in the last one that we tested, a pre-refresh model. So if you want a faster Outlander, you can easily buy the plug-in hybrid, which is going to cost you a good deal more. Now, Mitsubishi says they have adjusted or tweaked the ride and handling balance of this vehicle, and we are driving an SEL model with the big 20-inch wheels on a 235 wide tire. The Outlander is definitely not a sporty option. You can feel when I turn the wheel, the steering is responsive enough. There's a lot of precision in it. It's just really numb, devoid of feel. The suspension is just marshmallow soft, which is fine if you want a really good ride quality. It's not great for body control. The body kind of wallows about as you kind of make emergency maneuvers, but it's still very competent, easy to drive. It doesn't feel unsafe. It just feels like it doesn't want to be pushed hard. It's not like sporty like a Mazda CX-5 or a Honda CR-V, or even a Toyota RAV4 feels a little bit sportier than this, but this is good. It's a nice, comfortable demeanor, which is, I think, what most people are going to want in this segment with the company's super all-wheel control. It's supposed to be able to send more power side to side, although it just doesn't have enough power to do so to make a difference. But when you start pushing the vehicle, you can hear the engine does sound strained, but you know, once you get the revs up, it gets up to speed just fine. And it's honestly not as intrusive and vibrating as I thought. It just sounds strained. So at least they've put some nice sound deadening materials, good engine mounts to keep the vibrations at bay, so it's not horrible. Now I'll switch the drive mode back into its normal setting. That's where the transmission will go into its lower ratios to kind of give you better fuel efficiency and to quiet everything down. Visibility out of the front is also good. The side, the rear is good. There's also a full digital camera rearview mirror, which if you don't like, you can easily turn that off there. That's included if you guys go for this SEL chest car that I'm driving. And the vehicle itself, you can kind of tell it feels like a tweener car. You know, if you guys are used to driving a Rogue or a CR-V or a RAV4, this car is going to feel bigger. It is wider. It's around 2 inches wider. You feel that width. It's around almost 3 inches longer than the Rogue, but it doesn't feel all that big, you know, when you're behind the wheel, aside from the added width. The seats are also pretty comfortable. These are the semi-aniline brick brown full leather seats, which are heated and now ventilated. You cannot get ventilated seats in a Rogue, so it's nice to see Mitsubishi has addressed that complaint in this vehicle and added that. Now, the Outlander plug-in hybrid does offer a massage seat function, which you cannot get on this gas-only variant of the Outlander. So there's a lot of features in this car, along with Mitsubishi's / Nissan's latest driver assistance tech, which works pretty well, although it's not the same ProPilot assist system that you find in some of the newer Nissan products where it gives you hands-free driving. But it certainly gets the job done, and this vehicle has comfortable seats that don't have much in terms of lateral bolstering, but the padding feels good. I can basically took this vehicle on a longer 2-hour drive, and it was comfortable. It was comfortable. It was relatively easy to see out of. It has a really great audio system as well. The new Yamaha sound system is some of the best that I've heard in this segment. And I also like the bigger 12.3-inch display. It's standard across the board. It's basically the same display that we get in the new Nissan Rogue. The digital display here you'll get on the SE trim with a premium package, and it's standard on the SEL that I'm driving here. So noise or quietness is also pretty good. I did hear a little bit more wind noise than I would like, above 75 miles an hour. So that's where this car could potentially use thicker glass, but it's not deafening sounds. It's just not as quiet as some of its competitors. And in terms of fuel efficiency, this vehicle is rated at 24 in the city and 30 on the highway. Now in the city, I got just under 25 mpg, which is not bad. On the highway, the best I could do is 28 mpg. That's because this vehicle's engine lacks the low-end grunt from like a turbocharged engine. So I found myself pushing throttle heavier than I would need to just to keep up with traffic. And again, this car is a little bit heavier than some of its competitors. With its 14.5-gallon fuel tank, you're looking at around 350-ish miles of range on a full tank. That is at least on regular fuel. Not great in terms of range. The plug-in hybrid should get slightly better MPG, but it does shrink the fuel tank capacity a little bit more. So, you know, in terms of the Outlander, it's still a really nice car to drive. It's not sporty, but it's still comfortable. It has decent visibility. It has good technology. It has adequate power, if slightly underpowered a little bit on the highway. And its fuel efficiency is slightly below average, but it's not horrible. So there's a lot to like about this car. I think that for those of you who are looking for a deal, you're looking for something that gives you luxury levels of technology and features, but not necessarily the luxury price tag. And you also want, you know, a compact footprint SUV, but you want it to have a small third row. This is one of the few vehicles you're gonna find in that class. And I do think that the changes that Mitsubishi have made for this year have definitely made it stronger, and it's still a worthy option if you guys are looking for an alternative to basically all the CR-Vs and RAV4s and Rogues that you see basically crowding all of your streets. Now, obviously, Mitsubishi's presence here in America has certainly dwindled over the last few years, but the Outlander is one of the few vehicles, of course, that really gives the company some hope, because last year, Mitsubishi did just over 45,000 units here in America. 45,000 units may not sound like a lot when Toyota literally does 10 times that amount in terms of RAV4 sales, but that was actually the best sales year ever for the Mitsubishi Outlander, and ever since this generation came out in 2022, it has essentially just been breaking those sales numbers updates every single year. So for 2025, the changes that Mitsubishi have made have essentially made this car even better. As you guys saw, the powertrain certainly is adequate, if slightly underpowered. 0 to 60 in around 8.5 to 9 seconds is certainly sluggish by modern day standards, but for those of you who are used to slower cars, that's going to be just enough power. The seats are also pretty comfortable. Love the fact that Mitsubishi has that new brick brown color. The semi-aniline leather feels like it belongs in a more expensive luxury car. And I also love the fact that they added cooled seats. That's a feature you can't even get in the Nissan Rogue. Keep in mind the plug-in hybrid also offers massaging seats. Again, you can't get that in the Rogue. The updates that they've made to the suspension have essentially made the ride and handling perfectly fine. I don't really notice a difference in terms of handling. It's not sporty, but it certainly is competent. This is a really good road trip car. The exterior styling still looks really good. I love this new moonstone gray, and I think the updates to the wheels and the front fascia and the taillights definitely give this car a freshened look, if not, again, a standout look. The third row obviously is a joke if you want to actually use actual adults putting them back there, but for small children or just, again, having that flexibility for up to 7 in a pinch, it certainly is a nice thing to have. The second row is definitely pretty spacious, which is great. The cargo area is on the smaller end, and that's kind of the compromise, the trade-off that you have to make with the small third row that this vehicle has. And really, I still think the plug-in hybrid version is the one to get. But again, if you guys are looking for a compact SUV that doesn't, have so many out there like you find with RAV4s or CRVs or even Rogues, the Outlander is certainly still worth a look. Now, if you guys are looking to purchase this vehicle, pricing has already been announced because this vehicle just recently went on sale with a base price of around $29,650. So that price tag is around $400 more versus the base price of a Nissan Rogue. It actually does undercut some of its competitors by a couple $1,000s, depending on, again, which competitors you're looking at. Most people are probably going to step it up to the SE trim for around figure around $35,000 is the sweet spot. This SEL that I'm testing, or that I'm showing you here, is the Mac Daddy. It's the fully loaded model with a base price of around $39,000. But of course, my test car has a premium package that ups the price by another $3,000. There's also an appearance package that I would probably skip for $1,400. This color is nice. It's an extra 700-ish bucks. With destination, my test car here is around $45,900. I know 45 grand, 46 grand does sound like a lot. However, keep in mind the last Nissan Rogue that I tested last month was around $48,000. Now, of course, that Rogue also had some accessories that was jacking the price up, but if you drop the appearance package that my test car has, this can be had for around 44 grand, which I think, again, is the sweet spot. And especially if you guys are looking for a vehicle that feels like you spent a lot more money than you actually did, because it has a ton of luxury and tech features that make this vehicle feel a lot nicer than some of its competitors. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander SEL. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.